Will you join me in a moment of prayer? Gracious One, may these words point toward you, point toward our thanks, point our way to the abundance of life among us. Amen. So many of us experienced Thanksgiving tables this past week. And oftentimes at these Thanksgiving tables, there's a practice of going around and saying something that you're grateful for. Unless you are me at 14 and you make that suggestion and your aunt says, we don't do that in this family. Many of us had the opportunity to do that, and sometimes it's a lovely practice, and sometimes it can feel a little empty if we've gathered among family with whom we don't feel like we can quite share the fullness of who we are, or family that we have to put up walls to guard against, or family that has hurt us in some unresolved way. Or sometimes we join in a Friendsgiving because our family is far away, either emotionally or in distance. Sometimes this routine of saying what we're thankful for in the midst of a gathering that feels a little uncomfortable, a little quite not welcoming, feels like a put upon routine that falls into the practice of toxic positivity, where we insist that there are no negative emotions welcome, that this gathering will be one of just replete with joy and pretend Norman Rockwellness. Sometimes it can be lovely, though, to pause and reflect on all of the things for which we are grateful. But even more so, I think that the practice of thankfulness, the practice of cultivating awareness of gratitude, outside of this kind of annual ritual at the Thanksgiving table, it's the practice that I know most to have shifted my own understanding and my own approach. It has the potential to be, as that poem said, to be a Copernican revolution. Nicolaus Copernicus was a Polish astronomer who was the main person who proposed this paradigm shift of our understanding that Earth was at the center of the universe and all of our planets, including the sun, revolved around the Earth, to understanding that, in fact, the Earth, along with all the rest of the planets, revolved around the sun. A Copernican revolution. And the practice of gratitude, for me, has that impact of shifting my world to where things are revolving around me, to where I am again revolving in my proper place, along with everybody else around the sun, the universe, the rest of the world. There's just so much when we get mixed up in our lives and to-do lists and things that are a struggle, and the willingness to stand and be grateful and think about the things that we are grateful for in my life has had that effect of a Copernican revolution. There have been some times of real struggle in my life, particularly in my family life. Some of you have heard snippets of raising my kids. And there have been some days where day after day it has been a real struggle. And you get up again, and it's a struggle again, and you get up again, and day to night, morning to evening, it's a struggle. And the best word I have for it is that it was a time of suffering. I think we have all experienced times of suffering where the pain and the endurance that is in front of you just has to be walked through. There's no other way around it. You can't avoid it. There is just suffering on the path in front of you. And my experience of opening the door to gratitude and inviting gratitude to come and take a seat in my life has been the only thread that pulled me through those times of suffering. And it really does feel like opening a door. You know, when you're moving through your life, there's an element for me of not being aware of all of the things that are happening, of a to-do list and worries and ticking things off, and just deeply aware of my own pain and how difficult things are. And taking a moment to pause and intentionally open the door and invite gratitude in has that paradigm shift of that Copernican revolution. And it's simple things too. When you open that door, it's simple things, whirls on your fingerprints, the thrum of your heartbeat, the way that our pupils expand and shrink in response to light. How wild is that? The feeling of Leif's hand seeking mine when we're in the middle of a fight and we're not ready to talk, but we just kind of want to remind each other that we're there. Leif is my husband. The miracle of spices from afar and salt that seasons our meals. The way that a cedar frond looks at once scaly and delicate. A warm hat when the tips of your ears are cold. There are endless things that just come streaming through that door when you open it and invite things to be grateful, to take a seat in your life. Anne Lamott wrote a book called Help, Thanks, Wow, the 3 essential prayers that we all need. And I think oftentimes we forget the thanks part. We reach out for help when we need it. We say, wow, when something incredible is in front of us. But oftentimes, at least for myself, I forget the thanks part. And I don't think that we say thanks because some external being out there in the clouds expects good manners from us. That's not really it. But we say thanks because doing so anchors us in the miracle that is right in front of us. That sometimes our suffering or everyday living or the things that we still want and that we're still saying help with blind us to the miracle that is right here, right now, amidst us. Leif has been taking a pause before eating. He's just started taking a beat. We used to say thanks with our kids until they got to be teenagers and told us what they thought of that practice. But he has continued holding a beat of silence, and he does it while he's at his on break at his nursing station. He does it when he sits down to his oatmeal. He does it before dinner, and I've started joining him in that practice. And it's just such a simple practice to pause before you eat, to open the door and let the gratitudes pour in. And when you open your eyes and begin eating, that experience is different. Once you have allowed yourself to be present to the miracle that is in front of you. And so I invite us to take a pause, take a beat now, and be present together to the miracle that is here. Amen.